right, good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. We are here to listen to you about the future of our parks, trails, historic resources, and open spaces here in Douglas County. In 2022, you showed tremendous support for extending a sales tax to fund these amenities. We want you to know there's a transparent, accountable, and fiscally responsible way we're investing in those funds, and that includes your input. Stay tuned for more. We want to hear as many community perspectives as possible, and I'll turn it over to Commissioner Layton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you to everybody for joining us for our 81st live town hall. During tonight's call, we want to hear from you. There are many of you here in the room tonight, and we appreciate you joining us. There are also thousands of people joining via phone and online. If you're joining us on the phone, press *3 on your telephone keypad to ask a question or tell us your feedback. For those online, please submit your question or feedback into the dialog box, and our moderator will read it out loud. For those of you with us in the room, raise your hand, and we will bring you the microphone. Commissioner Thomas?
Thank you. We know that everyone loves parks, trails, historic resources, and open space. It's part of what makes Douglas County a delightful place to live, work, and play. Tonight, we are talking about how we invest in those amenities and how you can be part of that process. If you'd like to follow along with the slides tonight, please visit douglas.co.us and click on the link to our live town hall webpage. We know that we may not get to everyone's comments or questions. So if you are in the room, staff has comment forms that you can fill out. If you are online or on the phone, you can fill out that same form online at douglas.co.us/town hall. Commissioner Teal.
Thank you, Commissioner. Well, my name is George Teal. I'm the chairman of the Douglas County Board of County Commissioners. I'm a Castle Rock resident, and I can tell by some of the youth that we have attending, I was never a Raptor parent. My kids did not play Raptors baseball, football, lacrosse, or football. I was back in the Dolphin days. And so I was a Dolphin parent for many years, and I do see some very familiar faces from those good old days here in the room today. Welcome, everybody. Very much appreciate you being here. Before we continue on, I do want to mention for those joining us on the phone, in order to get in line to ask a question or make a comment, please do press *3 on your phone keypad. What we want to do is start off with kind of a high-level purpose for tonight's town hall. Our purpose tonight is to take the first step into a deep dive into how the Douglas County Parks, Trails, Historic Resources, and Open Space Fund investment decisions are made. Seems like a heavy topic for a weeknight conversation, but I encourage you to hang in there with us as we promise it will be worthwhile to you. Joining us tonight is a panel of subject matter experts, and I'd like them to introduce themselves and their connection to this topic. And so joining us, and I'm just going to start from my left, your right, and Mr. Schutzenberger, please.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Chris Schutzenberger, and I'm the chair of the County Historic Preservation Board.
Hey everyone, my name is Jared Taylor, and I am chair of the Parks Advisory Board.
I'm Terrence Quinn. I'm the Director of Community Development, and I have parks and trails and building grounds within that department.
Jeff Garcia, County Attorney.
Dan Dirts, Director of Open Space and Natural Resources.
I am Jay Sage. I'm proud to be the chair of the COSAC, the County Open Space Advisory Committee.
All right, thank you, panelists. Thank you all for being here tonight. Whether you're in an organization seeking a portion of the fund, an eligible city or town in Douglas County seeking to obtain your portion of this fund, or a member of this community with the desire to have a closer oversight in how the fund is distributed, this town hall is for you. We recognize that there may be as many ideas for how to invest these dollars as there are people in this town hall tonight. We also know, and we need you all to know, that there is a process for determining how the funds are invested. We also want you to know that our board's guiding principles of transparency, accountability, and fiscal responsibility guide how these decisions are made. With that in mind, our goal this evening is to share the county's investment and stakeholder engagement process for how we evaluate and respond to the request for approximately $350 million this fund will receive over the next 15 years. Our goal tonight is to ensure your working knowledge of how we create and sustain a reliable and consistent process for how all applications for this fund are evaluated based on universal criteria and associated rankings, weighing board priorities, jurisdictional equity, partnership opportunities, and stakeholder input along the way. Now, before I turn this over to Commissioner Layden, I'd like to share my strategic priorities with this funding. And my ideas, guys, first and foremost, I do want us to explore fleshing out the Fairgrounds Master Plan that we had presented last month. I do believe that we have an opportunity to proceed forward with that in a way that will be both equitable, but more specifically, will allow us to showcase Douglas County literally for the world. And then I'm very interested in seeing our priorities go to sports fields for youth, with especially an emphasis on baseball fields. I grew up playing baseball. I still love the game. I think there's plenty of opportunities for our youth to enjoy the sport as I did. When we talk about parks opportunities, I want to do so through partnership with some of the municipalities that we do have present in the room tonight. And then public access on our current and future open spaces when it comes to acquisitions of those open spaces is a priority for me. I personally feel like conservation efforts of open space here in the county are great. But if the public does not have access to those lands, does not have the ability to enjoy them on foot, on horseback, on bike, I don't see the value. So those are my priorities. Commissioner Layden.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. What an honor to be with all of you tonight. I'm seeing members of our distinguished municipalities from the city of Lone Tree, people from areas of interest that are unincorporated but critically important, Sterling Ranch, a lot of kids from Raptors, and amazing partners throughout the entire room. For us, several years ago, I asked this board to consider re-upping on that revenue source to allow for the funding to continue for parks, open space, and historic resources because it was sunsetting. And we heard from a vast majority of you, please continue to invest in these important resources. I'm thankful to this board that they agreed to advance that measure back in 22, and an overwhelming majority of you voted yes on that. Part of our process here, no doubt there's an incredible amount of discretion for the Board of County Commissioners, but the purpose of tonight, first and foremost, it's the beginning of the conversation, not the end. We are going to be actively looking for your input, your ideas, your concepts, and your thoughts as we move forward. Again, it's $330 million over the next 15 years. What's exciting about that is that I'm a bull fan person, and I really believe that everyone here should be able to see themselves in our strategic investments. So I want to get into just a little bit here in terms of why this should matter to you and why focus on this tonight. So as you engage in the process with us, it's important that you see and have access to how decisions are made consistently, reliably, and with input from all stakeholders. It's also important for you to meet some of the people involved in the process of determining fund investment and associated work. So joining us tonight in the audience, we have Katie Carter, Assistant Director of Planning Services. Katie, if you want to wave your hand. Martha Marshall, Budget Director. Steve Schultz, Assistant Director of Parks and Building Grounds. Karen Hickman, Parks Advisory Board. And Mickey Clark, Consultant to the County. We want you to become familiar with all the ways made available for you to engage with the process along the journey to a decision. So please stick with us tonight as we cover how this works so you can be part of the process. If you're new to Douglas County, you may not know that this sales tax was first approved by voters in 1994, and there are a few members in our audience tonight, Jennifer Drybread and Mickey Clark, many others here who were part of that original process. And again in 1998 and again in 2022. So we thank the members of the citizen group who led this campaign and whose devotion to outdoor spaces and the county's history and heritage made all of this possible. If you would stand and be recognized, we'd appreciate that. Let's give them a round of applause. Yes. We wouldn't be here if you guys didn't run the measure with us and get it passed. We also thank those who have served and continue to serve as volunteers on the 3 citizen advisory boards who help guide the direction of fund investments: our Parks Board, our Historic Preservation Board, and the County Open Space Advisory Committee. If you're a member of any of those boards, would you stand so we can give you a round of applause? All right. Yeah, you guys too. So if you were one of the 87.6% of voters who said yes to the reauthorization, you know that investment decisions must be consistent with the ballot language. So the ballot language is this: protect, maintain, and add parks, trails, historic resources, and open spaces, wildlife habitats, have buffers between communities, conserve lands along streams and lakes that also protect water quality, conserve working farms and ranches, create and maintain recreational amenities, maintain and conserve historic resources, and again, that's consistent with the ballot measure. So before I turn this over to Commissioner Thomas, I'd really like your input and thoughts around my strategic priorities. These are the priorities that I'm going to be asking my board to support, but before we move forward with the decision, I want you to weigh in on those. So first and foremost, you know, it's that notion of recreation and sports amenities for youth. I'm the father of 3 kids. I've spent a lot of my Saturdays and Sundays on ball fields, and I know that many of you do too. I recognize that we've made a phenomenal amount of investment in open space south of Castle Rock, which we should all be very proud of. Half of our county is open space. That said, I know many of you from my district, we're all elected at large, but I hail from Lone Tree and Parker. Many of my neighbors do not travel south of Castle Rock on the weekends. They're going to their local parks and sometimes flying to other locations to engage in those regional and national tournaments that are so important to them. I recognize that youth sports is a $37 billion industry with a B, so ensuring that we have those amenities for all of you to be able to play whatever sport you're passionate about is deeply important to me. I started out raising my kids in Highlands Ranch. We moved to Lone Tree, and people always ask, well, Highlands Ranch, what is it? What do you raise in the ranch? Like kids. That's what we ranch. So I know that you're out there and it's significant to all of you. Along those lines, we have a couple of really specific county-wide regional parks that I would be really excited to advance. One is in Sterling Ranch, and Sterling Ranch has been visionary in terms of providing some renderings and thoughts and ideas around recreational ball fields, as well as facilities that serve people that may have developmental disabilities and challenges in terms of being able to recreate. So really excited about the vision there, water elements, dog park elements, and great recreational facilities for kids. The next one would be High Note Park in Lone Tree. And I am really honored to have members of the Lone Tree City Council here with me now, and I'd like to recognize, anytime we have an elected official, I'd like to make sure and recognize them for making the trek down to Castle Rock. We have Mayor Marissa Harmon here with us, as well as newly elected official. We have Alicia Brown, and then long-timer Jay Carpenter. And you've been doing this as long as me. And I don't know if, Marissa, you wanted to add a quick note on Lone Tree. We can come out and give you the mic if you'd like to give us a brief snippet on that. Sure, I do.
Thank you so much. Good evening. Thank you so much for putting this wonderful event together, and thank you for joining us this evening. I want to share with you, as I'm sitting here, I'm getting texts from my husband as my daughter is pitching at Redstone Park tonight, and currently my husband says she's killing it. So I am happy to be filled with a room who I know feels how important that having parks and access in our community is. I am currently the mayor of Lone Tree and representing the support for High Note Regional Park. As you can see, it is beautiful, and it has a multitude of multi-lit, multi-purpose fields, which I know will be really important. I am here to advocate for the support and partnership with the county and to work on our funding opportunities with them. We have a shovel-ready project that is beautiful. We were out there last night with Karen and members of the community to walk the site and really get a feel for the lay of the land and how important it is. One of the most important pieces is the access, and that we are off of a major highway. This is an 86-acre regional park that has a space and a place for all ages and abilities, and it will be important that we have great partnership throughout the county. I'm hoping that many of you in this room will one day be recreating there in some way, in some capacity. So here to advocate on behalf of that and thank our county commissioners for another great town hall and an opportunity to have our voices be heard. So thank you so much, Commissioner Layden.
Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate you all being here. Again, I think this checks a lot of boxes for you all. It certainly does for me. One piece of criteria that we've really asked our Parks Board to look at, in addition to all the other criteria, is the economic revenue generated by some of these projects. You could invest in space that is historic, that maybe nobody ever visits. That's important. We do a little bit of that. But when we invest in a place like Hino Park, millions of dollars come into this county in terms of sales tax revenue. I mean, like we said, parents have to find a place to eat and hang out, and sometimes a place to stay. So it's really significant. In my mind, this park pays for itself based upon the sales tax revenue we get. Keep in mind, it also appreciates your property values, makes Douglas County continue to be one of the healthiest counties in the entire country and the healthiest in the state. So I'm really pleased to continue advocating for this particular park. The next one for me is really significant because it checks the box for open space, parks, and historic. If you want to go back to that slide under Commissioner Priorities, the third one for me is Cherokee Ranch and Castle. And many of you that are from Castle Rock may know about Cherokee Ranch, but I will tell you, you get outside of this region and most people don't know about it. I think it's one of the best kept secrets in all of Douglas County. But Tweed Kimball was the founder and owner of this incredible property. It's the only really significant historic castle in all of Douglas County. And again, if you can kind of see it behind me, the vistas behind the castle are just unparalleled. The opportunity to restore and renovate this, very similar to our great partners in Highlands Ranch that renovated the Highlands Ranch Mansion. This structure could use some TLC, some ongoing maintenance, and opportunities for you all to go and visit it. So I think continuing to have that conversation is going to be significant. So that's three for me. And then a larger one that I know we all share and we've had some success on in the past is this notion of working with our Board of Education in Douglas County to acquire lands that have now gone to market. So we hold properties in trust. When developers come in and take down land, they dedicate some of that land for schools. We hold that in trust for the Board of Education to make decisions about locating a school there. If they don't do that in 20 years, it goes back out to market. So for many of you that have lived in neighborhoods with kind of a hole in the middle of the neighborhood that you feel is sort of your open space, in many respects, it might be land that was dedicated for a school, where a school is never going to be. A perfect example of that is Tepfer Park and Sweetwater Park. One is in Highlands Ranch and one is in Lone Tree. Two areas that just, they got out of that 20-year period and they were slated for sale. Many of you said, hey, instead of turning that into condos, why don't you keep that as our open space and parks? Our kids grew up in this neighborhood and this is our land that we really enjoy. If you've been out to Sweetwater Park, it's right in the heart of Acres Green. And those families, that's where they go to play and hang out and walk their dogs. So I'm really pleased that this Board of County Commissioners was able to acquire both of those sites at fair market value, make the Board of Education whole with their investment, and then acquire those properties for you all to enjoy in perpetuity. There are a lot of those spaces throughout Douglas County, especially in dense neighborhoods. So instead of maybe investing all of our money south of Castle Rock, where you may not necessarily go, and you'll go to some of that, investing right where you live, right in your neighborhoods to acquire those pieces of open space. So those are some of my priorities. This is the beginning of the process, and I'm looking for your input on all of those ideas. Commissioner Thomas?
Thank you. Good evening and welcome to everybody here. I'm Laura Thomas. I'm in my 8th and final year as a county commissioner. The very first year that I served as a county commissioner in 2017, we had the opportunity to buy Sandstone Ranch, which is 2,038 acres of beautiful, pristine property. And we had to close on that in 42 days. The county was able to get $18.5 million put together. We closed on that property, and then we were able to build partnerships with GOCO Great Outdoors Colorado and the Chatfield Mitigation Corporation. This was a private company that put more water in Chatfield Reservoir, but in able to do that, they needed to put credits for environmental reasons around the county. And we were able to do that at Sandstone Ranch. So that ranch ended up costing all of you only $9 million. So I think that working with partnerships is a way to leverage our dollars, and that is something that I hope we will be able to do as we go forward with these dollars. Douglas County likes to say and believe that citizen engagement, in fact, all stakeholder engagement is the heartbeat of effective local government. As you hear more about the public process for engaging in fund investment decisions, you will also see the opportunities for direct engagement in the conversation. Tonight's live town hall is one good example, and yet that's not the only way that you're going to be able to be involved. So let's look at slide 21, which talks about all the ways that your voice can be heard in this process. So the first one is the live town hall, which is here today. The commissioners have work sessions. We also have advisory board meetings and recommendations, social media. And for social media, we post on Facebook, X, also known as Twitter, Instagram, and Nextdoor. The county is going to be commissioning a community survey that you all will be able to engage in. And in order to do that, you'll need to go to our website and subscribe so you will get that email so you can be part of that community survey. When you go on our website, you can check the boxes for what kind of emails you want to get from us. If you only want to know about parks, that's all you'll get. If you want to know about roads or other things, you have the choice to pick what you want to know about. And we have citizen comment at our business meetings. So you can go to a business meeting. There are 2 Tuesdays a month at 1:30, and you can make comments to commissioners then. The way to find out when all these things are scheduled is to go to our website, douglas.co.us, and sign up to receive information about what is posted on our website that you would like, whether it's dates and times of meetings, how to serve on advisory boards, how to get news releases about different things the county does. This is where you can go to the county's news releases and fill out the information so you get a link to our survey. You can also call the county or email us at bocc@douglas.co.us. I'd like to just give you my ideas based on conversations that I have heard from people in the community. The first one is the Fairgrounds Master Plan. Our fairgrounds is really the highlight of our agricultural background that make Douglas County what it is today. But it is a very finite piece of land. And we commissioned a master plan so we can better use that finite ground there. And I would like to see us figure out how we could make better use of that property at the fairgrounds. The second one is Wildcat Regional Park, which is 200 acres on the south side of Highlands Ranch that the Douglas County Commissioners own. I think this would be a great place where we could put sports fields for kids. The county's been approached by private partnership groups, nonprofits that want to build baseball fields. They want to build an Olympic pool there. They want to build soccer fields. And the beauty of this is these truly are private-public partnerships, that the county would allow the land that we own to be used by these partnership groups. So there could be baseball fields there for the youth to use, a pool for them to swim, soccer fields that are paid for by other organizations that will allow our tax dollars to stretch further. And finally, we've heard it from others that when the county invests in land, we believe citizens have the right to be on it. I don't favor buying a piece of property with your tax dollars and not allowing you to use it. So please stay with us tonight throughout the process to help us determine how this fund will be invested. We need your input. And the things that I talked about are things that I have heard from residents, probably in this room. Roger?
All right, thank you, Commissioners. We do want to get to questions and comments, so we'll be going to those next. If you would like to make a comment on a comment form and have not already received it, please raise your hand and a staff member will bring those forms to you. If you're just joining us, we're talking about the voter-approved parks, trails, historic resources, and open space funding. Thanks for joining us. If you have a question on the phone, press *3. If you're online, enter your comment under the viewer box. And if you are here in the room, we will be coming out here shortly. Let's start with a question that came in online, and that came from Jonathan. With so many priorities, are there any guidelines for how the money can be spent? Who'd like to take that? Jeff?
I'd be happy to. Thank you. The resolution is a complex document. It's been amended 5 times after it was adopted. There are guidelines. There are limitations on spending per year. There's guidance on natural encumbrance to it. There's purpose requirements. But additionally, there's a great deal of flexibility. A number of the funds have rollover or have the ability to use mixed funds. So there's definitely guidance. But ultimately, it is the Board of County Commissioners' authority and duty to spend those funds.
Thank you. Let's go to some hearing room questions. I think Commissioner Teal is going to be bringing out the microphone. Please raise your hand. We'll try to get to 3 questions here at the start of the meeting, and try to keep. We're running a little over time already, so try to keep your questions tight.
Over here first. Sir, go ahead and tell us give us your name. Tell us where you're from.
My name is Jeff Jenkins, 20-year-long Douglas County resident, 20-year-long Parker resident. One of the partners that are hoping to partner with the municipalities regarding baseball fields and softball fields at the Wildcat Reserve. And I've got a son still playing professionally. I've got another one that's a coach at Metro, and a third one. So we grew up in Parker Hawks. We grew up AYL. We grew up playing in all the tournaments that these guys are playing in. Problem is, Douglas County doesn't have enough fields. They don't have enough baseball fields, softball fields. There's not enough amenities for them. And Wildcat to 200 acres would be perfect because we want to be a partner. We don't want to put this on all the people. We want to take part of that on. So we are definitely in favor of it, and we're hoping that you guys know that there is not a single, and here's my question, phrasing my statement. There is not a single regional or national tournament that is played in Douglas County, baseball or softball. Brighton, Thornton, Boulder, now having a 350-team Sparkler, no baseball. You've got some small local tournaments, USSSA, Cobb, and Triple Crown, all up and down the Front Range, but nothing that brings people in. They're going to spend money at the hotels, the restaurants, the other business, and be here for a length of time. So we are definitely in support of it. Our kids need it, and we want to be a partner with them.
Thank you, sir. Would anybody like to respond to that on the panel?
I could take a crack at that, sir, that you spoke of partnerships, and there are lots of partnerships and lots of opportunities to build fields out there. We have multiple projects that would do everything from baseball, football, to soccer fields. So these will all be vetted by our advisory boards and be sent up to the commissioners for consideration for funding. Jared, did you want to say anything about that?
I can tell you that you have said nothing that we haven't been hearing a whole lot of. We know that there's organizations in this community that are turning kids away because there's just not enough fields. So figuring out with partnerships, with whatever we can do to get more fields is a high priority for our board.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and weigh in as one of the commissioners. This is right in line with my strategic priorities. I mean, I have to tell you, I spent 6.5 years on the Castle Rock Council. We were building parks my entire time, and we were building ball fields my entire time. When I came up here to the county, it struck me that, well, it seemed like nobody wanted to talk about that. And I was like, okay, well, I guess maybe that's not a priority here. at the county level. I don't think that's the case, though. I think that is a desire, that is something that's wanted. And quite frankly, when the sales tax increment was renewed, I think we do have that opportunity with a revenue stream that would support building ball fields. And yeah, a tournament complex here in the county so that we could get on the map, I'm all in favor. So give me a plan I can say yes to, is what I always say. Let's go, Sarah, I saw your hand up next. I know you because your husband was my son's lacrosse coach and our sons played together, but please give us your full name. Tell us where you're from.
Yep. Sarah Fuda, Castle Rock. I've been a resident here for 21 years, and I've been involved in leadership of youth sports in our community for 15 years. My question is, well, first, I appreciate seeing a focus on youth sports fields in general, right? Whether it's soccer, lacrosse, football, even indoor complexes, and I know that's a whole different story. But my question is, the program I run is Raptors. I'm the vice president of Raptors Athletics, and we're in the AYL, and the Arapahoe Youth League is a very community-based organization. We've got some great fields, and our neighbors, the Parker Hawks and the Warriors in Highlands Ranch and South Suburban, they don't have the same challenges we do with field space because there's not a lot of field space in Castle Rock. And so while we understand the needs, like with the fairground, it kind of feels like we're losing athletic fields in Castle Rock and gaining them in Lone Tree and Highlands Ranch. And I want to say that on the youth athletic side, we all play nice in the sandbox. There's not a ton of sharing that goes on when you're outside of your community. And so I want to know what the plan is from the county perspective to put more county sports fields in the Castle Rock, Castle Pines area.
Okay. Would anybody on the like to respond? Abe?
Yeah, thank you, George. I appreciate that. And I mean, and there's only 3 of us, and 2 is a majority, and I'm just going to say yes and echo my colleague on youth sports and recreation. The reason I'm so committed, and in my mind that is such a significant priority, is because it pays for itself. When you invest in a best-in-class regional facility for youth sports, that will pay us back. I mean, I think High Note itself is like a $50 million economic impact to the community. Part of me wonders as a commissioner through my lens, how many people in this room have visited Sandstone Ranch in the last year? Could you raise your hand for me? Okay. And how many of you are out at ball fields on the weekend? Yeah. Well, it's a combination. I mean, we're Coloradans. We love our open space and we love our youth sports. I think it's location. And I'm genuinely looking forward to hearing from you if you think it's one big location where you can get the biggest tournaments in the world there, or is it separate locations throughout the county in different commissioner districts, Castle Rock, Lone Tree Park, or Highlands Ranch, where communities can gather? I don't have the answer for that tonight, but I would look to you, who are experts, to inform us.
Okay. One more question. Ma'am, I saw your hand up. Give us your name. Tell us where you're from.
Hi, my name is Lauren Nobles, and this is my neighbor, Stacy. We both are from the Hearth community. I do have a question before I actually kind of continue with what I have to say, if that's okay. I just want to verify that the Wildcat Regional Park is between the Griggs Road and Monarch. Is that the space that we are speaking of? Is it just not written down anywhere?
I believe that is the case.
100 acres?
Yeah, Terrence, this is something you and Steve have been tracking.
Could we put the map up for Wildcat,
Please.
and that'll show, we kind of blasted through it there. We can point that out to you.
Nobody said where it is, yeah.
Right. It was under Commissioner, there it is. So that's the map for Wildcat Regional Park.
I can't tell where that is. Can you see the?
Oh, Andy said that's it.
Okay. All right. So
Yep.
Stacy and I are here, and if anybody else is, members of the Hearth and want to represent themselves, we Personally, I'm somebody who grew up playing like competitive soccer. I am from that background. I'm not against the measures to actually produce those type of amenities to our community. But if you've never been to this specific open space, there are entire herds of elk and wildlife, and we have cattle. The cattle are about to come in. They graze all day. There's ways to access that space without completely destroying the beautiful, amazing wildlife that we have back there. We are very lucky that we get to live where we live. I am blessed every single day that I have this amazing space behind me, and there's an entire community of thousands and thousands of people who will lose this wonderful sanctuary that we have behind our homes. And I just feel like there is more to be thought about when it comes to that will not increase our personal property values in general. I know as a community as a whole, this is something that we need, and I do want to bring it to you, but I want you guys to please think about alternative spaces. If we do have over 50% open space in our community and in our county, that is not the space. For me, that is not right on.
Okay.
Anything else?
Okay. Well, thank you for letting us know that. Would we like to have any response from the panel before, Abe, we go to a phone question?
Well, I love it. Again, we're Coloradans. We love wildlife and wildlife corridors. It's part of our way of life here. So I really appreciate the comment. I saw from our producer we have a phone question online, Roger.
We do. Let's hear from Paula. Paula, go ahead.
Okay. Hi, my name is Paula. I live in Sterling Ranch, and I wanted to ask if how much support there is, or if there's consideration for Burns Park funding, which I think would be a great thing. This is a development that is growing very quickly, and we have a lot of families with young children. And I think it would just be a great place to bring people together from other communities around us as well. Thank you.
I'll go ahead. I've seen the development plans that are out there for Burns Park. Listen, Sterling Ranch is a growing community here in the county. If we're not building parks where our communities are growing, or we're actually building parks, I guess is my question. So I've seen the plans for Burns Park. I'd like to see more details. I know we've received a request for a $300,000 study to go ahead and begin the design elements. I'm in favor of that. I think it's a great idea. We've got to make some priority decisions on what is ultimately funded, how it's funded. But until we come, hopefully those won't be hard decisions for the commission to make. But until we come to those hard decisions, I'm all in favor of looking at it. Absolutely.
And if I could just add that the board did just give Sterling Ranch $2.5 million for another park.
And I'll ring in. That is one of my strategic priorities. I think Sterling Ranch is a best-in-class community that is the future of Douglas County. And I don't want to minimize my lens, but I always think of things as a dad. I have 3 kids, and if one kid wants to go to Chick-fil-A, the other one wants to go to Chili's, and the third one wants to go to Costa Vida, really tough. But if 2 of them get together and say, we want to go to Chick-fil-A, that's probably where we're going to end up. So again, I don't want to be oversimplistic, but as a commissioner, when stakeholder groups come together around ideas, I would love to see Highlands Ranch and Sterling Ranch work together on a large county-wide regional plan that serves the Northwest Corridor. When you think about recreational opportunities, if the baseball folks get together with the soccer folks and maybe include the swimmers too, and you have a plan that captures more groups, that will pique my interest. I think we have another phone question. Roger?
Yes, let's go to Rick next. Go ahead, you're live.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead.
My name's Rick Dimitrition. My wife and I, we've lived in Highlands Ranch since we built our house 21 years ago. And the Wildcat Park would be literally in our backyard. We're in Firelight. And while I think that's a good space to do something, the reality is Griggs Road will not support that kind of traffic. You know, we have a lot of problems on Griggs right now with speeders and what have you, and it's just an accident waiting to happen. So when you look at that and you look at the wildlife effect for the elk and for the mountain lions and the bears and everything that come down all the way literally to our house here, I just think somebody needs to look at that a little closer before they just add a whole bunch of fields and all the additional light pollution and noise pollution, everything else that's going to kind of disrupt the area. Now, outside of that, I do have a question, though.
Thank you. And Roger's saying online question, but Roger, I'm going to actually take it into the room because you all are spending your night with us. Yes, ma'am?
Nanette Simmons, and I also live near the Wildcat. What nobody has said, there's a golden eagle nesting pair that nests there every 2 years, and that will negatively impact a very sensitive creature that we have in our neighborhood.
Okay. Thank you. Anybody want to take that? Okay. Yes, ma'am. I know you, young lady. Hi, Jennifer.
Hi, thanks very much. Thanks to all for this presentation tonight. As I said, as it was mentioned, I worked on the 94 campaign and in 2022, primarily for open space. And I just want to say that, and you listed all of the open space attributes that we're looking for money to fund. Wildlife, as has been talked about, people are very passionate about wildlife. The 2022 enabling resolution that was tied to the ballot issue really set a balance for parks and open space. And that was an increase for parks through that discussion that the Douglas County Open Space Initiative, who campaigned for the 22 resolution and met with the county commissioners on many occasions. That's really what was decided on, to have this balance. And so we really want to say that we hope that you will abide by the 162,000 plus voters in Douglas County who voted for the extension of the sales and use tax and voted for many of those open space attributes that were listed tonight. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Jennifer.
Abe, I'm wondering while you're out in the audience, if
Yep.
you could ask if anybody has any topics they'd like to talk about that we haven't heard already, so we're not
Yes.
missing something.
That's
Please.
a great idea, Commissioner Thomas. And I'll just say, first and foremost, this is just the beginning of the conversation. If you're sitting there like, man, they're not going to get to me, write it down in your comment, send us an email, and we're going to have more town halls, so there will be more opportunities. Is there a new topic that maybe nobody's talked about? Yes, ma'am. Yeah. Good evening. Hi. Good.
Hi, I'm Amber Simonis, and I'm a 19-year Douglas County resident, and I am also in the real estate industry, and I've watched our community just vastly grow. I'm advocating for something that really hasn't got brought up. I'm in support of Burns Regional Park because it is on the east side of Douglas County. It is close to Jeffco. This area is not part of the South Suburban Park and Recreation Center, and all of our sports teams, we really don't have an indoor facility, and I'm wondering if you've ever considered that, because that is something that would be created by revenue. The clubs pay a lot of money for this space, and it brings a lot of revenue for tournaments and different things. So I wondered if anybody's ever considered that. My daughter played middle school soccer. Douglas County has over 7 middle school soccer teams, and you cannot find a field.
Are you talking about like that sports center off of, it's up in Centennial off of Holly? Something, okay. Any answers to that?
Yeah, it's just the fact that these kids can't do their sports seasonal all year round. It's a good opportunity for us to keep our youth involved in community events. I think that side of town would be a great opportunity. I don't know if it can be incorporated with Burns Regional Park.
Indoor facility. Who wants that?
So I'll just add that late last year, there were several nonprofits that came to me, and one of them that was interested in building something that said they could bring the money for a covered sports complex. They just needed land. And that's when we talked about the Wildcat Regional Park with the land there and all these different nonprofits that came to us all at the same time. And we thought, this is a way for public-private partnerships and would be a covered complex. That's one of about 5 ideas that we came to. And on the map, if we put all of these on the east side of that property, the west side of that regional park where most of the homes back up to would not be affected. And if you look at the lights at Highlands Heritage Park, the staff have invested in these lights that show straight down. I live by that park, and I never see those lights because technology has created lights that don't blare and light up the whole area. So that's one of the conversations that we have had with staff as we look at these different opportunities. And again, these are just all opportunities on the table that we will all go through and decide what is the best for everybody. Thank you.
That's a really good point. I would just echo that partnership is a big deal. And I've heard from many of you, we're in the wealthiest county outside of D.C. and the West Coast. And many of you have said, look, we'll partner. As parents, we'll help raise funds for these important ball fields in partnership with county resources. So I think that collaboration makes a difference. Yes, sir.
Yeah, my name is Mike Gilliam from Highlands Ranch. And although it's similar to the wildlife conversations we've had, but I think that kind of the beauty of that area that you're talking about, it does have the wildlife, and your charter says you're going to protect wildlife, you're going to protect the habitat, and you're clearly not doing it with adding ballparks and lights in that area. There is the eagles, there's the elk, there's the deer, there's coyotes. It's a beautiful area. I bike, I hike. Lots of people love that area. And why don't you consider something like the fairgrounds or some other areas that could be already used and have lights or have some facilities that you could use for something else? Have you thought about the fairgrounds or other areas?
Yeah, that's a really good comment. And just so everybody knows in the room, no decisions are being made tonight. These are conceptual only. Anybody on the panel want to speak to that?
Hi, everyone. Like a lot of you, I was involved with sports with my son. Guess what? He grew up, he moved to New York City. He's 28. So I think about why I moved to Colorado from the hot and humid Midwest, and I look out the view right there. Castle Rock. It's beautiful. And we preserve beautiful properties here. And I think the commissioners have done an excellent job, as well as financial management of our taxes here, expressed by $100 of sales. We pay 8 cents for open space. Let's look at some neighboring counties. Larimer County is 25 cents. Jefferson County is 50 cents. We preserve just over 66,000 acres of open space, more than both those counties alone. Here's an interesting statistic. The commissioners have authorized spending of $78 million. They found partnerships of $149 million. So there's money set aside for preserving open space and nature in the future. Open space side does not need more money, and we'll continue that work. So thank you.
I got a follow-up question.
Sorry, because you don't have the mic, we have to go on to the next question.
Yep. Hey, would you please send us an email, though? I would appreciate it. We do have to go to the next section.
Right. We have a question online, came in from Daniel. He asked, absent a conservation easement, what would prevent the county from buying land with open space tax money, but later making it available for development?
Boy, that's a good question.
Could you repeat that question for me?
Sure. Absent a conservation easement, what would prevent the county from buying land with open space tax money, but later making it available for development?
Well, really what it comes down to is within this resolution, and from what I'm hearing, if there's no conservation easement in place, can the county purchase a piece of property that doesn't have a conservation easement? Yes, the answer is yes. Or are we buying a piece of property that already has a conservation easement on it? Can we then make that available to public use? And the answer to that is yes, we would have to amend a conservation easement. So regardless whether or not a piece of property has a conservation easement on it, that could be a potential property for a county acquisition.
But the question is, if the county bought a piece of property for open space, could it later be developed for homes? And the answer is no, because every property that the county has acquired with open space dollars has had a conservation easement of some kind put on it, so it will remain in open space. And I think that was the question, so it will not later be developed. And we have an online question now. Please, Roger.
All right, Jason asks, I'm an avid biker of our trails and have noticed quite a bit of overgrowth. Will some of these funds be used to more regularly cut back vegetation, or is it still planned to be maintained by volunteers?
I would go to the website douglasvolunteers.com. I was just doing that today on the East-West Trail by Monarch. We were cutting Gamble Oak to make the trail wider. So there is ability. The parks and open space staff is aware of that. So they're looking into that, as well as you can volunteer, once again, at douglasvolunteers.com.
And big shout out to our over 160 open space volunteers. It's pretty, our budget for open, yeah, huge, thank you. Our budget for open space overhead is about 1/10 of the other large counties. One question, Roger.
All right, let's hear from Kate. Kate, we only have a couple minutes, so please be brief. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Kate, and I've lived in Douglas County since I went to high school here 20 years ago, sadly. Both my kids play Raptors football and baseball, and my question is, would it be possible to build new fields before you consider removing the fields from the fairgrounds?
Absolutely.
Yes, and I'll mention what I mentioned last time. At least for me, I'm not going to move a speck of dirt anywhere until we have the same or better recreational facilities for our youth.
All right. Well, tell you what, folks, it looks like our time together is coming to an end this evening. So thanks, everybody, for participating. It was great hearing the opinions in the room, and it was and some really great questions for us to ponder as we consider how to make these investments here in the county. I definitely appreciate everyone who chose to take your time out, come in person. But for those who joined us online and joined us on the phone, we appreciate your participation as well. Very much appreciate seeing everyone. We hope to see you back again next month. Commissioner Layton.
Thank you, George. Hey, I'm a both-and person, and as I've always said, I think with $330 million, we can do great things to protect wildlife, to preserve open space corridors, to have great parks and recreation for our youth. So stay with us. Again, no decisions have been made tonight, and before any decisions are made, we will be reaching out to you for your input. Thank you. Commissioner Thomas?
Yes, thank you. As we wrap this up, I'd like to thank staff who have made all of this possible here tonight, and be looking for the link for that survey that's going to go out. So go to the county's website, sign up so you can get a link to the survey. There's forms here you can fill out so we know what you have to say. When you go home, you can send an email to us. No decisions have been made tonight. We want to continue getting information from all of you. So thank you for being here. Good night and God bless.
All right, thank you. On behalf of Douglas County and Commissioners Teal, Layden, and Thomas, we appreciate you being with us this afternoon. If you did not get your question asked, you're invited to submit a feedback form at douglas.co.us/town hall. We hope you'll join us for another town hall meeting in the future, and we wish you a very good night.